get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, no, I get a good feeling, yeah.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Healthy Spread podcast. We have a great guest, a longtime friend of mine, Christian Roman. How are you doing today, Christian?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm like in the library now. Was getting work done before this, but I'm ready to get ready with this podcast.
What was you working on in the library?
Just schoolwork for my special education teaching major. Like I really want to showcase that there's no limits, that they're capable of doing anything they put their mind to.
Definitely. What actually made you go in a special education program? Because you said you were doing a 4+1, but you kind of switched around as you were in school.
So I switched around twice. I changed my major twice from pre-med freshman year to electrical engineering my junior year, and then the same year that I switched to electrical engineering, I switched to special education. I switched to special education because I've always been good with kids. I'm also on the spectrum, so I want to show kids that there's no limits, like I said. So yeah.
Definitely. So can you kind of go into a little bit more about like, your diagnosis and your specific situation and, how that pertains to you, things that you kind of struggle with on your daily basis?
I was diagnosed in sixth grade, so pretty late for like being diagnosed in special education. So like I got diagnosed with ASD, autism spectrum disorder. Um, like the challenges I faced were like like socially, like I didn't know how to talk. Like I was very, like I was always told to be observant of my surroundings, just being able to observe like the people around me, making sure that I pick up on the conversations, pick up on social cues. I still suck with social cues, but like just the social aspect, just being able to, yeah. That's like one of the
Definitely.
biggest challenges that I had. Like you saw me in high school. Like I was always excluding myself. Like I just didn't know what to say or talk about. So just being observant about that.
And it's, so crazy to see you now, how far you've came and, seeing your growth and your progress. It's truly amazing. Would you say that, your social interactions in college have improved, changed? What do you think has led to you, having such exponential growth?
I think like the difference between high school and college was like we went to a private charter school. So like anything you do, like the minor things you do, they'll get on you on that for like no reason. So like
Mm.
I couldn't really truly be myself. I felt like I was very shelled and like I couldn't get out of my comfort zone and talk, be myself, be like funny, things like that. But when I got to college, I just said, you know what? Let me just start fresh. Like there's 20,000 people on campus, so just start anew.
So
um,
you go to UConn, correct?
yes.
Got you. So you would say like overall, at UConn, it's been, a positive experience for you?
Yeah, like over time, I felt like I got better socially. Like I just started learning a lot more about myself. Like I've been going to like it all started with like Bible study, like going to Bible study, getting better with my relationship with God. Um, that really helped me like interact with more people, and like I did this summer program before I got admitted to UConn. It's called SSS, Student Support Services. It's now CAPS now. Um, but like that really helped me too. It helped me branch out and like be able to interact with people that have the same interests as me, or like I can vibe with them pretty good. And then also basketball too. Like I've been working out, playing basketball. Like I didn't do that in high school pretty much. Like I was on the football team, yeah, but like I felt like I upped my game and working out and just staying active in the gym, trying to better myself. Yeah.
Uh, so is there anything that you would have done differently in high school, or would you have not redone it at all?
Um, I say like something I would change is like try to like push myself out of my comfort zone more don't really care about like the mistakes like I make because like the teachers they used to get on me like if well on anyone if they did something like sharpening a pencil in class that's like this disruption like I shouldn't have cared much about that like just being more interactive and like not care much about like what other people think.
I agree. Seeing you senior year was it was almost kind of like you were coming into that person, but you weren't all the way there yet. And I like from what you say, like once you got to college, you finally broke out and became, who you truly wanted to be and who you truly are.
Yes, sir.
Did you receive a lot of services growing up, such as like speech language pathologist, occupational therapy? And if you did, were they helpful? But if you did not, do you think that kind of hindered your growth as far as like socially?
I think like I got services. I got services from speech language pathologists. Um, I'm not too sure about occupational therapists, but like I used to get a lot of services for speech language pathologists, trying to work on my speech, being able to speak fluently and eloquently. Excuse me. Um, just being able to learn how to talk instead of like um jumbling my words. Like I used to um like I say um like I am right now.
Yeah,
Just working my way around those little barriers, like language barriers, like speaking wise.
definitely. So overall, do you see the growth, coming from, speech language pathologists, and going to those therapy sessions, or do you think it was just more so from kind of just having more social interactions and being in different social environments?
I think it helped me to the sense where like I was able to talk like not stumble on my words or like stutter, but like I felt like it was also me having like a filter of what to say and what to talk about because I used to think before I say, which isn't a bad thing at all, but like just being able to come into my own shell and just talk, like I felt like it was more like a filter thing rather than like a speech language pathologist helping thing.
So you said you were diagnosed when you were in sixth grade. That's middle school, almost going into high school. Do you think that teachers helped you as far as like, pushing you outside and pushing you, to pass your barriers, or do you think that teachers kind of coddled you and didn't aid to your success in a way?
I think it was more so like coddled. Excuse me. It was like more so coddled because I felt like they were saying in like my PPTs and everything and IEPs saying that I was just a nice kid. They didn't really say like what I need to work on. Usually, like I'm gonna be a special education teacher. I learned like in a PPT you have to like instead of saying like yeah, he's a nice kid. You gotta tell them like the truth. Like that's what the parents are in the PBT for. They want to know like the truth, and the students as well. They want to know what they want to work on to improve. Like I always wanted to learn what I could do to improve myself. Like I have a growth mindset. Like I just want to keep improving. So just being able to yeah not be coddled and be able to be myself and not worry about like I want to be like treated like everybody else. Like that's how I felt. Like I felt like I was indifferent to everybody else because of my disabilities.
I get that for sure. And I assume that like, once you went to college, because from the outside looking in, you don't look like somebody who would typically, struggle from a disability. But, you know, once you got to college, do you think that, you were able to kind of downplay that a little bit and just be who yourself and not be, okay, I'm Christian who has ASD, and just kind of be just Christian Roman?
Kind of, yeah. Like when I entered college, I like the first 2 years, like I'm not gonna lie, I was ashamed of like my disabilities because of like my experiences in high school. Like it hindered who I could have been. Um, now I'm the person that I want to be. So just yeah, like college like really changed that aspect for me. Like, could you repeat that question one more time so I could?
So I was kind of asking you, like, do you think that, your experience in high school, going through those PPTs and kind of having that label tagged as a kid, a nice kid who has a disability, allowed for you to see and change your experiences in college, to not using that as a label and just kind of being who you were and just being
Oh,
Christian Roman,
oh,
not the kid with a disability?
oh yeah, for sure. Like not like all my friends, like people that are around me, they they don't see me as someone with a label. They see me as myself. Like I was, even though I'm good with masking, like that side of me, the disabilities I have, like that's still a part of me, and I'm not ashamed to say it. Like like in my early stages, I was ashamed of it, but I learned to love myself more and like started taking care of myself more to become a better version of myself. So yeah,
So why do you think that, it's so hard for people to kind of accept others who may have a disability or others who have a physical impairment, and, refuse to look at somebody as just as a regular person?
because I feel like when you tell about your disability, like I'm not ashamed of it now, but like when I told people about my disability in the past, like people used to look at me different. Like they used to like doubt my abilities. So like when I tell them I have ASD, like um they saw me a whole different way and they just looked the other way pretty much. And I realized I had a lot of fake people in my life, so I had to remove those people to become a better version of myself and like be able to find those people that I could relate to, I could talk to. Like I was in a ASD group my freshman and sophomore year, so like I was like being able to make friends in that group to start off my semesters, my first 4 semesters, and just be able to learn like the different perspectives on what they think about like their disabilities, like their ASD, oh, like their autism disability, yeah, and like what other disabilities they have on top of that. So I got to see a different perspective that I didn't see before, and that's when I realized to appreciate my disabilities more and be able to like not be ashamed of it.
So, being that you're looking to be a special education teacher in the future, which is great, how do you think that, things could change as far as, not necessarily putting a label on a kid? Because, it's not, disabilities aren't going anywhere, right? And,
Yeah,
it is important to know, you know, what kid has certain disabilities for various safety precautions and, safety measures, but also to, help that kid grow and progress. But at the same time, how do special education teachers, work to make sure that the label isn't a negative attachment and is just more so, for growth purposes and for safety purposes?
I feel like what special education teachers need to do is like they need to inform like the general education teachers about like treat them like everyone else in the classroom because as much as that sounds like cliche, or I don't want to say cliche, but I can't find the figure out the right word, but um like a lot of general education teachers, they don't really know about their kids with disabilities. Like I came out of a placement where the general education teachers, they expected the special education teachers to accommodate all of their work. Like the main job of a special education teacher, like parts of it is like we check the accommodations so that the general education teachers provide for those students. Like they're supposed to do that for their students, like make sure that everyone in their classroom is successful, and we check it to make sure that it's good that for the student and make sure that like it maximize their success. But I feel like informing is one thing, and then another would be like, I'm trying to think, just really get to know your students before like treating them like they're like a kid with a label. Like I feel like with every kids now with that I feel like they feel more ashamed like how I am right. Well, how I used to be. So like with the disabilities. So I feel like if they just treat everyone like everybody else, like yeah, like get to really know the person before treat them as anybody else. Like they shouldn't.
So there's definitely like a disconnect between, the general education teachers, the special education teachers, and the students.
Yes,
And what's super tough about that is that, like, in the same breath, teachers have a lot to put up with, have a lot to deal with. So,
exactly. Yeah,
it's not necessarily like a knock on teachers, as you would agree, but it's more so like finding, the training and, the best way to kind of go about making sure that everybody is accommodated, and it's not just, adding one kid to a group of 30 or adding five kids to a group of 25. It's making sure that, everybody is one, but the kids that do have disabilities, their needs are met as well, and they are also felt as though, they are important. Because how often has a teacher genuinely tried to get to know you and get to know your circumstances?
I say pretty minimal.
Hmm.
Like I felt like in high school, like they saw me as this shy, nice kid, but like when I got to college, like the professors, it's pretty much life. The professors, some of them don't really care about like they're just researchers pretty much, so they don't really care
Hmm.
like how you learn it. Like some teachers, they like I don't want to say like half-ass it, but like part of my French, but they just put their lectures up and you just read off slides. Well, like when you're like, but the teachers now that I have, like the professors, the ones that are in my major, they actually take the time to get to know you. Like, especially I'm in a special education cohort, so it's like very minimal. Not a lot of people want to do special education teaching. They most majority of them are like general education teachers, teaching majors. I have like 20, while the rest is like a good 150 to 200 general education teachers. So
Wow.
yeah, so it's very small of the cohort. So yeah,
Hmm. That's interesting. Why do you think that, a lot of people aren't looking to be special education teachers rather than just be general education teachers?
I think the biggest misconception would be like not like if they feel like kids with special education are too much for them, that they won't be able to handle it. But that that's debatable. Like any student could be a handful to deal with, to be honest.
I agree. And that's another, label that's put on kids, um, who have some form of a disability. There's sometimes some kids are, viewed as problem childs, or, you know, need, special help, or special needs, or, a lot of kids have labels that are unnecessarily put on them by educators who don't necessarily know how to educate in a way.
Yeah. Um, it's crazy.
So in high school, and a little bit of college, did you feel out of place? Were you bullied often? How did you feel amongst your peers? And what were some things that you found hard?
Uh, I wasn't bullied off in high school, but like in middle school and elementary, I felt like I was bullied off. Like it wasn't because of my disabilities. Kind of was, kind of not, but like it was like more so like they just wanted to just pick on me with with the things I did. So I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I was annoying. in middle school and
Mm.
elementary. So just yeah, I got bullied for that, but it didn't really affect. It wasn't really based on my disabilities, but like yeah, high school, I feel like I didn't really put myself out there except for playing football and everything, and like working out, trying to have my mind set on like learning new things about myself. Like I never liked sports in middle school or elementary until like I got to high school and I just found found my addiction to basketball, football, and just being able to play those sports and just have fun with it.
How was your experience playing football in high school? I know the one thing for me, like playing sports in high school, I knew like once I put, my jersey on, I kind of felt like in a bubble. I felt like in my own world, kind of, and I felt like, you know, I could be who I really wanted to be in that moment. How was your experience in high school playing football?
Oh, it was amazing. Like um when I was playing football, like when we had football games, I was the loudest one on the bench. Like even though I wasn't a starter, I just wanted to like cheer my teammates on, like, and coach would put me in. Coach Blackstone would put me in for kickoff and like in certain spurts as a wide receiver or running back or corner. Like he basically had me like a gadget. He had me all over the place, trying me out at different
Mm.
positions. But I would never complain about my playing time because like I didn't put in the work, but like I wanted to keep hustling and just like I'm a hustle player. Like I would just keep working on that and like be the one that celebrates my teammates. Like I don't need this spotlight on me. Pretty much like I'd rather like cheer on my teammates and motivate them to do good on the sidelines.
For any kid who may have ASD, would you recommend that they, play sports and kind of find some way to socially interact, even if it's hard for them?
Yeah, but like it doesn't have to be sports. It could be like clubs, um, any any anything that has to do with interaction. Like just get yourself out there, be comfortable talking. Don't worry about your mistakes. Don't worry about be introverted because people students are other students are going to see that, or people in general are going to see that, and they're going to come to you because they see that you're being introverted, so they're going to talk to you for sure.
Definitely. I would, like you said, I would recommend, any clubs, any sports, anything to kind of get out there because, you know, if you struggle with something as far as a disability, you are already tagged with the label, but that label shouldn't stop you from, pursuing something that you want to pursue or trying new things that you want to give a try. Because we all struggle with something, and it doesn't have to necessarily be a disability. We all struggle with something with ourselves, mentally or physically, that we aren't always confident about, but we still go and put ourselves out there. So I think it is very important that anybody who may have a disability, find some way to be involved and enjoy something and find something different about yourself that you may like.
Yeah, like even though I just played football, like I tried out for other sports and I also tried out for other clubs. Like I was in the chess club. Like during lunchtime, I used to just play chess, learn about chess, and that was pretty fun too. So just find things that suit your interest. Like you could even create your own clubs too. Like in college, when you get to college, like you create your own clubs. You can make a Marvel club, a DC club, movie club in general. Like a club that suits your major too, or like something that best suits your interests. Just you could do pretty much anything.
What was the turning point for you in your life, whether it was college, now, where you felt as though like, all right, I'm comfortable in my skin, and what brought you to that point where you were comfortable with who you are and the things that you may struggle with?
I think a turning point for me, like I was going through my darkest days in high school because I had family problems, but that's like for another day. But like I just had a lot going on in my high school days. Like I was thinking about like my disabilities. I was thinking about like how I can't fit in. Um, like trying to learn how to fit in. Like and then coming to family problems at home. Like sometimes I thought even though the school we went to was seen like a prison, but it felt like a prison, but it was sometimes my escape from like what I had to come home to at times. So yeah, but like as soon as I got to college, like my freshman year, I was still going through my darkest days, but then like my cousin reached out to me, said, "Go to this Bible study," and like it changed my whole perspective on life. Like I used to always think negative on life, but once I went to that Bible study, I took a different approach and started thinking more positive. Like I cleared all the negatives because I know that there's going to be a positive to every negative. So even if there's many negatives, there's always going to be a positive.
So you said something pretty interesting to me. You said that, in high school, you were always trying to figure out how to fit in, but now in college, it seems like you're not necessarily worried about fitting in anymore. You're more so just focused on being who you are and almost standing out. Can you speak to, why it is important to not want to fit in so much, but also, why it's important to just kind of stand out and be who you are? Because I think that a lot of people who struggle with disabilities look to fit in and look to, gain a crowd when they can be who they are and stand out, and whoever is meant to come will come their way.
Oh yeah, like it didn't happen. It happened naturally. Like I just said, I wanted to start fresh, and then when I was in that SSS program, like it I was chilling with the wrong people still. So like I realized they were being fake to me towards the end of the program. So like that was kind of a bummer. That stung me a little bit, but the other people I found in the group, oh, not in the group, but like in other groups, like other social groups, like I like nitpicked my own friends out of those each group and like they're like my brothers for life pretty much. Um can I appreciate them a lot. So just being able to be who you are and like for them to accept you too. Like don't be ashamed to tell them that you're on the spectrum or like have any other disabilities because people real friends this is what I go by. Real friends accept you no matter what circumstances you go through or like what disabilities you have. Like sometimes they might not even notice.
Yeah.
I got in that a lot. So just no matter the circumstances, no matter your disabilities, like if a friend is there for you, they're gonna accept you no matter what.
And I think that's a great point that you made. Real people, real friends, real family will be around you and be with you regardless of what the circumstances are, the challenges that you may face, because they are a genuine friend, they are a genuine family member. And oftentimes, we do see the people that aren't true to us, but like you did, you picked out certain people that you knew were true to you, and went further with those people because they were genuine friends and they really wanted to be around you, and not because you had a disability and you were on the autism spectrum disorder, but because you were a Christian Roman.
Yep, exactly.
What are some challenges that you face now as a grown adult with your diagnosis? Because I think that there's a common misconception that, when you get older, it becomes easier. And that may be true for some people, but in some cases, that is not true for some people because, their diagnosis sometimes often um, increases, or they, don't necessarily have the functional life skills to improve and be an independent adult.
Yeah, I think you said that perfectly. Like it doesn't get easier. Like I feel like it stayed the same. Like I'm still socially awkward around certain people that I'm not familiar with. So like I could have a hard time talking to them, but like when I'm with my friends, I could like talk, like say, what's up? But um, yeah, like it doesn't get easier, it doesn't get harder. I think it's like steady. So like it's all about like how your teachers prepare you to that next step of being comfortable talking to others and being able to like have conversations, like interact with others. Like I feel like it's on the, it's important that the teachers, parents, family members in general, people that stuck by you, I feel like those are the people that are supposed to guide you to like supposed to help you guide you to that success and like interacting with others and being able to be comfortable in your own skin and be able to talk and not be afraid to interact on how you feel, things like that.
Such a great point. So viewing the world now as an adult, do you feel as though the world is doing right by the disability community, or do you feel as though people are still doing a disservice and not, educating themselves on certain things and just kind of, not being aware, not being respectful of those who may have a disability or may have a physical impairment? Because I know that from my experience, I still see, a lot of people stare at somebody who may be in a wheelchair or may stare at somebody who may have a leg brace on or may stare at somebody who's using crutches or something along those lines.
Yeah, so I agree with that. Like people still stare, like they look at you differently. Um, they take a different approach with how they talk to you. Sometimes, like when you tell them, they would talk slower than how they normally talk, which is weird. But they talk like, "Hi, how's it going?" Like they talk like that. So
Yeah.
I used to hate it. I used to hate that when like some of the high school teachers I had talk to me like that. I hated it because I kind of felt like they felt pity for me. They they doubted me to an extent where like I couldn't do what I was capable of doing. Like I felt like I was more capable than what they thought I could do. So yeah.
So what is some advice that you would have any person or any kid or adult who may be in your shoes or has been in your shoes or, soon to be in your shoes? Because might I say, like, you've came such a long way and your growth has been amazing in a way that, a lot of people wouldn't necessarily have the same amount of growth because either, they aren't willing to seek help or they aren't willing to, just put themselves out there enough to really push the boundaries. So what are some advice that you would have for somebody who may be in your shoes?
um just use that energy that of people doubting you, haters, to improve yourself. Don't have a fixed mindset because fixed mindset it could only get you so far, but a growth mindset could take you to places that you never been before. So like always find ways any aspect of your life, always try to improve it because like even though you think you're good, you always gotta keep improving. Like I still have things to improve on myself. I still have flaws that I'm still working on. Like my social awkwardness, I still have to work on that. The way I see things as rude or like nice, like things like that, like or too nice. Like sometimes I could come off as too nice, or sometimes I look like I'm too serious with my face. So like just yeah, like be able to improve every aspect of your life or your not really much appearance, but more so like being able to work on things, the little things. It doesn't have to be the big things first. It could be the little things that truly matter, like the baby steps. Take baby steps, or little steps, or big steps. Uh, any kind of step that you feel comfortable taking. Like anything that would push you to be the best version of yourself. Like if you want to keep improving, keep improving. But if you stay in one spot and you expect people to like get along with you or like I don't know, like interact with you. Like you got to get out of your comfort zone. You got to get out of your shell because I was that shy kid and introverted kid that now I'm an extrovert. Like I went from introverted to extroverted in like a matter of years. It took me years, but I still did it. I took baby steps to get where I was at, where I'm at now. So yeah, just keep growing.
Do you have any advice for parents who may not necessarily know how to help their kid who may have ASD? And I ask that because parents are super important to their kids' growth ultimately because they decide, whether or not their kid has services. They decide, what school they choose to put their child in. And, for you, you have had amazing growth, but, your parents have also played an instrumental role in your growth. But in the same breath, parents can have, a negative effect on their child's growth as well. So would you have some, I know you're not a parent or anything like that, you don't have any kids, but would you have some form of advice for parents who don't necessarily know or, how to go about
I
certain things?
say like research is a big thing, like being able to research on your kids' disabilities, but like don't be overprotective of them either. Like let let them be them, but like correct the things that are obviously wrong, like blatantly wrong, but like let them be themselves, but also reprimand them if they're doing something that you don't like. Like you don't try your best to be stern, but also nice in the same way because like they need to know what they're doing wrong because not a lot of parents know what how to explain what they're doing wrong or like be able to like tell them that they're doing something wrong. They like say like um I know a few that like they help their child with things like if they're doing something wrong in class and they get an email like yeah like don't try to help them too much like let them do it themselves.
I get that for sure. Just from me knowing you, I know you are pretty close with your dad. And I think that, dads are very important in any form of growth. But, with having autism, you said that explaining is very important. And I think that sometimes, um, you know, parents can jump the explaining part and just kind of reprimand. So how important really is it to kind of, cautiously explain something that is wrong and not just automatically kind of get frustrated because it's a lot to deal
Right.
with. There isn't any blueprint to having a child who may have a disability or may have who may be on the autism spectrum disorder. So can you explain like how important it is to really explain, to have patience, to be compassionate and to really be understanding of the situation?
I say like explaining is like very important because like when like I'm still clueless to this day like when I'm told to get something and I'm like told where it's at like sometimes it's like right in front of me but I don't see it and like for my dad to have like a lot of patience with that like he just points to where it's at and like has like this calm voice and just takes a deep breath. Even has me take a deep breath to let me think and know know what he's saying before I just go right into it. So like explain like you don't have to explain too much, but like explain like in a way that your kid will understand you. So that I think my dad did a good job with that.
For sure. Shout out to all the dads, all the fathers, all the grandfathers. You guys are very important. Also shout out to the moms too. We gotta show
Yeah,
love to all the moms and the grandmoms and the everybody. It truly
it's
takes a village for somebody to
a lot of
grow.
effort too.
A lot of effort. So if you could change one thing about your life, would you?
Not at all. Like probably like my early stages, like just being more aware. Like I was like my parents, they told me that I had autism at sixth grade as soon as I got diagnosed, and even the doctors even told me. So like just learning about that and taking the time to actually learn about it, like now, like I just thought it was cool to have. You know, it is cool. Like I'm not putting any shame on that. Like not now. But like I was bullied because I said it, but I wasn't ashamed of it. But you get what I'm saying, right? Um, like
Definitely.
I was like, hey, I was like telling everybody I had autism spectrum disorder. I even told my teacher, and she was like saying, interesting. Like I remember that vivid memory in my brain right now. But just being more aware of what it is, what the disability is, and being able to know what to expect of yourself when, like, just I say be more observant. Yeah, that was like a whole tangent, but
Well,
yeah, just be observant.
for sure. And autism is cool. Any disability is cool. Anything that you struggle with is cool. It may be tough, it may be challenging, but there isn't an exact definition of what cool is. Being who you are, being comfortable in your own skin is
Yeah,
cool.
for sure.
Definitely. Well, thank you, Christian. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate your
Of
time and
course.
you telling your story.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning into the Healthy Spread podcast. Thank you again, Christian. Hope you have
You
a great
too.
day.
Thank you.